You see good, you see bad, you get happy and you sad. But just remember that better days are coming. Friends will leave you all by yourself. But don't cry, better days are coming. Stay focused and never lose sight. I know people, they don't see the hurt inside, but keep on smiling, 'cause everything will be alright.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. This is the Motivator Show alongside Lady Chelsea. Good morning, Lady
Chelsea. Good morning, everyone.
How are you feeling this fine and vibrant morning?
I'm good. It's a bit colder than last week, but I'm good.
I have to admit, it's rather cloudy here in London. It's 13 degrees. Can you imagine?
Oh, gosh.
2 days ago, we're going
it's
up.
Like almost 30.
Oh my
God.
I
know.
Okay,
England.
Never mind. Today we are sunny. It's all in the mind.
Yes.
Huh?
Yeah.
It's in the spirit. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We are sunny. We are sunny.
Yes. Yes.
Let's start the show, huh? Let's start the show. Good morning, all the listeners out there. It's a pleasure to have your listening ears again. First of all, let's give praise to Ian King, who's taken us again from dark to light, from night to day. Yeah? Give praise to you, Ian King, a stalwart here in the galaxy. Of course, let's give praise to the galaxy management, those visionary leaders in the community, who for more than 35 years have kept this station running all that time without a break. Let's give praise to Chief Akambabai, the visionary leader, Elder Eric Krute, Dr. Man, Abu Ratata, never forgetting the stalwart presenters such as Nico, the most royal, who's been here for more than 30 years. Yeah, wow. Empress Shanice, that pride of woman and African womanhood. I don't mind saying. What?
Nothing wrong.
That pride of African womanhood, determination. Yeah, we must always listen to our women. Never forget that. Yeah? We men sometimes become much too pussy. Yeah.
Yes.
Praise God to her. Praise God to her. I give praise to all of those who've continued to ensure that this station remains a viable entity at the very centre of the African communities here in Britain and beyond. I give praise to you all. I give praise to you all. It's also, of course, important to give praise to the elders. Yeah? Those elders who continue to listen to this programme and provide wise guidance as we need it most, you know. Trials and tribulations, listen to the elders, yeah. Because they're not motivated by hubris, by profit or personal gain, yeah. They're not motivated by what's that? Selfishness, you know,
oh yes,
or jealousness. No? Their sole interest is to ensure that there's continuation of the community. Yeah. That those who they eventually leave behind will go into a place that is better than they found it. Yeah. So that we represent their legacy. And indeed, if I may say so, Lady Chelsea, you will represent my legacy. Okay, if you continue in broadcasting, or your experience here affects your life in ways that we cannot currently describe, and that's a worthy legacy. Yeah. Praise God.
I agree.
Yeah, that's why we do it. So I give praise to the elder. It's now important, because I'm just conscious of time, because today's program will be a really profound experience, and we will talk about our backdrop, the Windrush so-called generations. Okay, but let me come back to that in a moment. I want to now go on to the usual health messages. You know, every so often I'm challenged, why do it? Why do it? I say to people, we have no choice. If we don't take care of ourselves, how can we take care of those we love, or the wider African communities, you know? So you've got to start with self, yeah? This is part of the reparations, taking care of self. So let me begin. I say to you all, consider, I'm not telling you, I want you to consider the amount of salt and sugar that you are ingesting. Do you need those extra spoons of sugar in your teas? Do you need all that salt on your fish and chip? All the additional sugar we add to our food. Yeah? Do we need it? Consider the amount of fat you're ingesting. Do you need to consume quite so much fat? You know, even those chips are boiled, you know, literally fried in oil. Can you imagine? Yeah. When you look at some of the meats, you know, there's big chunks of meat. After you see the big chunks of fat added to it. Oh my gosh. Oh my God. Take it off. Yeah. All it does is accumulate around your organs. Yeah. And it may not affect you today or tomorrow or next year or your next decade, but it will affect you. Just consider the amount of fat you're ingesting, the amount of carbohydrates you're ingesting, you know? Just consider the amount of wheat products you're ingesting. Do you need quite so much? I ask you all also to consider the amount of water that you're consuming, you know? I'm told by the expert, ideally you should be consuming ideally between 2 to 3 litres of water per day. Much of it, of course, is in the food that we're consuming. Okay? But in addition, I have your water. Here's my litre of water, which I will need as the program progresses. It's good for you. We are mostly water, more than 75% water. That's what we are. We need it. to help our bodies to extricate from ourselves all those toxins which are form part of the environment we occupy. We need to consider how much water we are ingesting. And of course, very important, I'm told by the experts, really, we should up the amount of fruits and vegetables that make up our diet. We should up it, yeah? Eat as much as possible, natural fruits, natural vegetables. What do I mean by that? Those untainted by pesticides and hormones and such delights, you know? We know intuitively they're not good for us.
Yes, yeah.
Okay? But so many of us ignore these basic health advice, you know? And then wonder why as you get older, you suddenly have a whole plethora of ailments that are affecting you. Vitally important, we think carefully about what we ingest into our bodies. You know? But fruits and vegetables are the very basis of what makes us who we are as human beings. Okay? And of course, never forgetting, of course, it's important to exercise. Lady Chelsea, have you exercised yet? I see you drinking the water, but have you exercised yet this morning?
No, not yet. Not yet.
I have to admit, I haven't done it either. So
No,
there you
okay,
are.
cool.
Well,
Feel better
but I'm
now.
assured that I
Yes.
will today. Because today, in my other life, are my campaigning days. So I'll be out and about. Oh yeah, I'll be very physically active today. But I do expose myself to at least 1 hour of vigorous physical exercise while racing my heart. I'm sweating because that's fundamental who we are as human beings. It's an integral part or requirement of our physiology that we exercise our muscles, our bodies as much as possible. But equally important, you must exercise your minds. Both give your minds opportunities to rest and also where you have concerns to really seek advice, but allow yourself to separate yourself from all the cares in the world, you know? So being able to meditate for periods of time is essential, an essential part of our general physical, psychological, mental health. Because ultimately our spirits, you know, is what keeps us going. You know? Our spirits is what keeps us going. So giving ourselves time just to settle and all the cares in the world just to go away gives you additional focus, you know, and strengthens your mental resolve, both to cope with each day as they pass. Oh yeah. But of course, equally as important, gives you the confidence to go forward. Going forward confidence is such an important series of words for us to remember. Move forward with confidence. But you've got to, in order to gain that confidence, you've got to go through a routine, exercising, eating good food, meditating, and focusing your attention. That's who I am, and I know that's who you are, Lady Chelsea. Praise Jah, Rastafari. In case, stay strong and don't let anyone do you down. Okay, never let them do you down. Praise Jah. Okay, enough of me lecturing now. I feel so good today. I feel so good today. Now we're going forward. Now we just raise our energies. Let's raise our energies. Let's be strong. Because that's why we've survived for so long. Because we are mentally, spiritually strong peoples. Praise be. And see, you see that ship behind me? Empire, Windrush. The pioneers, our parents, the pioneers, their strength was beyond all bounds. That's what I say. Beyond all bounds. Beyond all bounds. Anyway, so I'll move on now. I think it's important to remember that as I talked about the elders, and of course I will mention Elder Norma. I spoke to her this week. She had an operation this week. I know she won't mind me saying this on her eye, but she's well.
She's good? Okay, that's good.
She's well, she's vigorous, mentally very alert. You might probably will hear from her sometimes. today, mentally very alert. And remember, she recalls Britain from the 40s, yeah? From the 40s, from the 50s, the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, the 20s, till today. And her mind is clear, as agile as she was when she was a baby.
It's amazing. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, such people you just cannot ignore,
Yeah.
Why I liked last week's show was young people. You didn't need to have too many of them, but so many were communicating using these wonderful devices, I must say.
Yeah.
I'd like more young people to talk, I have to tell you.
No, I guess.
That's right, Lady Chelsea, huh?
Yeah,
I'd like them to talk.
That.
Oh, my dear. But it's okay. It's okay. It's fine. It's fine. The importance of last week is that we oldies, in recognizing that we've got to continue to prepare our children, the young people, for this society, and to take on the responsibilities, becoming the elders, as it were, if you will, take on those responsibilities. And what I recognize, and we recognize, that this society has some hostile features to it, which can be quite, they can be quite deliberating. They can cause some people to become depressed.
Yeah.
Feeling down, worthless, feeling that they are already defeated even before they've had the opportunity. But let me tell you all, that is an illusion. It's created by people like Donald Failure Trump and his cohorts. It's created by people like him in order they can maintain a psychological advantage. That's all it is. They can maintain a psychological advantage. When you go into battle, of course they have the psychological advantage. You're already defeated. This is why stations like this exist, to change that narrative, to give young people like yourself the psychological boost, that if it's necessary, the psychological boost to know that you are worthy, that you have the strength to succeed, that you are indefeatable once you believe that you are great men and women, of stature, of stature. Why do I say with such emphasis? Because living in this country, the propaganda is so intense that there are even people from our community who believe that we had no history prior to the enslavement period. Well,
that's true.
That's propaganda gone wild, isn't it? That's propaganda gone wild. And can you imagine such a person believing that their history is so limited? Such a person is, economically speaking, no longer viable. It's no longer viable. They don't make good husbands or wives. They don't make good people to work for or work with. And they most certainly cannot make a contribution to this or world society. So it is actually a defeatist strategy. It undermines the great in Britain. I know some people challenge me, well, why call it Great Britain? Well, I have to say that a little island like this off the coast of mainland Europe, generate the people that have been able to have significant influence right around the world.
That's
for that reason. And what they are utterly at the center, utterly brutal, ruthless, unforgiving. They're at the center, the worst kind of human beings, because the genocide that they've been a part of is despicable, utterly despicable, utterly despicable. And I say genocide deliberately.
No, definitely.
Nevertheless, there were good features.
Yeah.
You know, I
Yeah.
know it's difficult.
No,
But I'm grown up
yeah,
enough now to
yeah.
recognize both the good and the bad. Okay. And it's not a question of hate any longer or anything like that. It's really about reality. If we see someone for who they really are, then you can interact with them. Yeah.
Yeah.
But if the lens that you see that person is one that is so defeatist, you can't see the real person. Yeah. What you see is a mirage.
Yeah.
And it's that mirage which not only affects us, but affects many English, Scottish, and Welsh people right now. The vast majority live through a lens created by a small group of people at the top, okay? And that's affected how they see African people. Note the word, I use the word African people as opposed to black people.
Yeah.
I use the word African people to denote my heritage. My parents may well have been, were born in the Caribbean. That is true. But they got there from Africa.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay. Never forgetting that it's an essential part of the reparations process, the healing process. You know? And you hear a African person deny their African heritage, it's only because of propaganda. They've been taught that lesson. Yeah. And we need to help them to unteach themselves, to realize their greatness. And of course, why do I say greatness? It's so important to remember that much of what we see here today, even the technology that we see here today, have African origins. And I don't say that just to boost myself up. It's simply, if you go to any university that's studying history of the world or studying the history of Africa, would acknowledge that. All the professors will acknowledge that to be the case. Astrology, mathematics, science, and so on, Yeah? They're all admitted. Yeah? And they will all admit that humankind, as it were, emanates from the motherland of Africa. Yeah. They will all admit it. Now, once you have that as your reference point, you then have to then look at the history of that great continent. Okay. And yes, because of the invasions and so on, destructions of much of the artifacts and statues and the manuscripts, much of that, at least in some quarters, has been lost. The true history of the continent has been lost. But don't worry, the Renaissance is on the way. Okay? See how you respond to it as a young person? Because it's essential, isn't it? Yeah? Because you cannot find pride in yourselves unless you know your own history.
That's true. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah? The world cannot evolve into a more civilized place until all the families of the world recognize that we are but actually emanate from one family. And therefore, the so-called national identities are but, well, really contemporary isms which will pass over time. But actually, just one family. We are but the human family. Yeah. I could say, oh, I'm African, but we are but one human family. Okay. We are still savages, mind you, in so many ways. Oh my gosh, we're still savages. We still allow members of our family to starve. Members of our family to be in living conditions which are absolutely deplorable. We still allow that. But we're still savages, you see, in some ways. We're still savages. I say that deliberately because we would not allow it to happen. But that will change over time. I'm confident that will change over time. And why I liked last week's show, because you young people spoke with such hope, aspirations, needing for us to go forward, Oh yeah. That's why I do this type of show. And why I have other hats in society, because if we don't make a meaningful contribution to the improvement of the human condition, whilst we're here and we have the opportunity to, then we have failed. And I don't do failure.
Yeah.
I do not do failure. We must improve the human condition, and therefore it's important for us not only to uplift the African community both here and abroad, but to lift all other communities with us as well, you know, because we are actually just one family. A geographer, to say if we look at the geography of the world and say that geography is more important than the other is foolish.
Yeah.
Utterly foolish.
And not what God intended.
An alien coming into this planet will see us as being one species. That's what we are. Just a single species.
Yeah.
And the diversity that we see in the species, okay, is an essential part of our survival mechanism. If we all had one color eyes, all the same height, the same immune system, any manager that came across would affect not one but all of us at the same time, and the species would no longer be in existence.
That's true.
So the diversity we see is an essential part of our survival mechanism. It's as simple as that. It's as simple as that, you know. I know some people think, oh no, if you're dark skinned, then you've got to have some advantage. If you're light skinned, you've got to have advantage. If you've got long hair, you've got advantage. But these are kind of childish concepts. Yeah? These are but childish concepts. You look at beyond our planet, look at the other planets, look at the solar system, then look at other solar system. You say, wow, this planet we're on is tiny. Absolutely tiny. In fact, we sitting here are so small in relation to even the solar system. It's so minuscule to be.
It's weird to think about. Yeah.
So we just got to broaden our horizons, you know, and we've got to become far more mature, socially mature, in the way in which we interact with each other. But I know for some people, particularly those who have a vested interest in promoting the status quo, will fight back. Okay. Cool. And they will share their propaganda against one part of our family to another. And that's been the order of the day since time immemorial. But I see a growing awareness amongst human beings across the world, a growing awareness. Yep. I see a growing awareness. I'll say no more on that subject. I'm going to move on because now let's keep moving forward. So Lady Chelsea, the opportunity for this children's section, and we are very determined, are we not? Yeah.
Yes, no, we are.
We want to make sure that our young son, Malachi, I've got to find out his birthday. We say he's 14. I'm feeling he might be a bit older now. But anyway, at 14 years old, wrote his first book. Okay.
Yeah.
And I've got to tell you, I was so impressed by him. We were so impressed by him, and of course, his wonderful mother.
Yeah.
You know, her passion for her son, a dedication to his education, a desire for him to grow up to be an upright young man who makes a positive contribution to his family, his people, and society generally. A vision for him was so palatable, so powerful, that each time she spoke, I recall watching him look up at her. Look right into her mouth, so right into her eyes, you know, taking in every word that she was saying. That's a true parent. You know? Yeah, that's a true parent.
But you see the love.
You're the center of the world, you know, and all you want to give is love, guidance, and best wishes.
Support.
And that's what she demonstrated. I was
definitely
touched by it. We were touched by it.
Yes, definitely.
I don't know, this has been a struggle because the questions this 14-year-old young man posed to us appear to be straightforward questions, but we hope we've given the listeners the opportunity to do their own research in anticipation what the questions will be in relation to Tutankhamun. So just remind us of the name of the book, Lady Chelsea. I'll hand over to you now. The name of the book,
that's fine.
Written by our young son, Malachi.
So the name of the book was Tutankhamun, The Tale of the Adventurous Boy King. So that will be the prize. The signed copy, I believe it's still going to be signed. Yeah, so the signed
Yeah.
copy of the book, Tutankhamun, The Tale of the Adventurous Boy King. That's what will be given with £25, if I'm right.
Let me re-emphasize.
Okay.
Oh, and before I say that,
Yeah.
the young son who won, or didn't quite get the questions right last time.
Yes, did you get his number?
But I still want to forgive myself for getting your telephone number wrong.
Yeah.
So I'm asking you, if you're listening, please ringing again, because I need your telephone number so I can get the book to you, and I'm sure from the young man's point of view, the money to you as well.
Yes.
I believe in your case it could be £12.50. Okay.
Yes.
Didn't quite get the questions right, but the usual prize will be £25. Okay, and of course a signed copy of Malachi's book, Tutankhamun, The Adventures of the Boy King. Okay, over to you.
Okay. So I was trying to switch up the questions, but my phone is acting up. So I'm going to do the same questions, and then next week I'll change it. So hopefully there's been enough time for people to research a little bit and build up a little bit of confidence and come and talk to us. But so it's 2 questions, one for under 10s and one for 11 to 16-year-olds. So I'll just get that up now. Just quickly do that. Okay, cool. Right, so the first question is for under 10s.
Question 4. What does Kemet mean?
And that is, what does Kemet mean? That question is for under 10s. Second question is for 11 to 16-year-olds.
Question 6. How many siblings did Tutankhamun have?
And that's, how many siblings did Tutankhamun have? Yes, and the number, sorry. Okay, the number to call is 0203 481 5240. Then you'll be asked for a PIN number, which is 370 733 4397, followed by the hash key.
Okay, that's the number. I'm going to give it again.
Okay,
so
sorry,
the number to call in response to these questions, and afterwards I'm going to ask Lady Chelsea to repeat the questions after I've given the number out again.
Yes.
We want to encourage parents and young people who are listening. If you wish to win £25, I understand that's still a lot of money these days. You know, in my days it was tuppence or sixpence. You don't know about that, don't worry. That's a lot of money.
I have heard them.
But £25, I understand, is a lot of money. So I'm going to give out the telephone number. So parents and children, please call this number 0203 481 5240, and the PIN number, it's 3707 33 43 97, followed by the ash sign. I'm sorry, ladies, I've got to tell them it's the vertical and horizontal symbol on your keypad. Yeah, there you are. I've got to tell them, otherwise you need to see them.
No, that's fine. We don't want people to be confused.
Well, I've got to tell them. Okay. Yeah. We would love to hear from you. Because we've been doing this now for a good few months. Oh dear.
Yeah,
okay.
it has been.
Maybe we have to get Malachi back and we have to revise those questions. We've got to do something anyway. I'm surprised that we haven't got through all 10 by now, but I'm sure we'll get there soon enough. So again, shall just give out the question one more time, please.
Cool. So this one's for under 10s.
Question 4. What does Kemet mean?
What does Kemet mean? And for 11 to 16s.
Question 6. How many siblings did Tutankhamun have?
And that's, how many siblings did Tutankhamun have?
There you go. Well, we can only hope that this time there's a take up of this one. I'm sure it's totally our fault. Maybe we've got to around this.
Yeah.
We'd hope that those young people and those parents who are listening with young people, these are questions. I have to admit, in the very early days, we were maybe a little uncertain as to the
Yeah,
answer.
I didn't know anything. It's fine. I've never learned about him. I had no idea.
But eventually we'll get there. We are determined people, so we'll do this until we get it right. You know, we're determined. But we have to figure out a way in which we can ensure that the young persons are listening. I know many, when mine were that young, at this time they were all up because they were going out to functions. We had a class to go to or whatever. So I'm pretty sure highly motivated parents and young people are up and about. Maybe we just got to encourage them to listen to this particular show. Okay, that's
at this time.
But I'm confident that given time, we'll receive the answers to all of these questions. Okay?
Yeah.
I know. We have to think about how we're going to achieve it.
Yeah.
But we're not going to
give
up.
We can do it. Yeah.
We're not giving up. We're not giving up. Okay. Because we have to do Malachi proud.
Yeah.
I want him to be proud of us that we've secured 10 positive responses, and I've given out all this money.
Yeah.
Exactly. Okay, but anyway, don't worry. We'll keep at this. We'll keep at this. Okay. And again, it is further testament. And I go back to an early interview with Tony Sewell.
Oh yeah.
And whilst I received some interesting comments from the communities to the conduct of that interview. What I know with regards to Tony Sewell is that he supported the idea, and his commission supported the idea that the national curriculum must include African history. They may have used the term black, but we know what it meant, African history. And not just the enslavement period, genuine African history that's taught in universities only at the moment, okay, but not taught in schools. True history of African peoples. Not one that seeks to denigrate or in any way do us down, but one that reflects the true contributions that our peoples have made to world civilizations. Okay, so I want to give praise to Tony Sewell for that particular recommendation, and I know that he is committed to those recommendations. He himself, who I've known for a little while, has been running an organisation for more than 30 years called Generating Geniuses.
Yes, I remember him saying.
How many men or women have run an organisation that has been committed to encouraging children to realise their social and academic potential, and has committed themselves to a certain extent? They've been recognised by all governments over that time. Okay, I don't have to agree with his politics. I don't need to.
Yeah.
All I can do is just judge a person by their works. But I know of young people, both men and women, young men and women, who've gone to that project and have come out the other end, different people, aspiring people.
Yeah, so you've seen the results.
Yeah. And have gone on to do great things for themselves and their families,
Okay.
Okay.
Well, that's good.
So I want to recognise that. It's easy to castigate, you see. We're encouraged to castigate our own, in the community. We're encouraged to do that. But as I said to many times here, I would encourage those who have not read that report. Now, the report in terms of wording may not be perfect. Don't worry. It's not perfect. There's no doubt about that. But I had to see it through a clear lens. That's why, in my case, it took 9 occasions to read it through a clear lens. So I can get to the kernel,
Okay.
So it's now an official report, been accepted by government, okay? And the government have obliged themselves to follow through on its recommendations. Okay. And I can only encourage him and others to continue to press government to ensure that those recommendations are fulfilled. Because they span right across the political and social spectrums. Okay? And because it goes to the very heart of our show today, and if I may. Because, of course, my parents and your parents, of course, came here either from the continent of Africa or from the Caribbean. And, of course, in all cases, they were encouraged to come here because Britain had a labour shortage. Okay, at the time when I was born, my land of my birth, Jamaica, was still a British colony. Hadn't so I was born British.
Oh yes, yeah. That's good, but yeah.
I was born British, and the vast majority of those on the so-called Windrush were born British.
Yes.
When they came to the docks, whether it be London, Liverpool, Southampton, on the ships, they came here British people. So they didn't require complex paperwork to come on to get in because they were British already.
They were born British.
All they needed was a bit of paper. I think their date of birth or whatever, or the boarding.
The boarding ticket. Yeah.
My father actually came over on a plane. My dad.
Oh really? Had to be different.
But that's from that.
Yeah.
But these are profound experiences. The vast majority of them were born British.
Yes.
Yeah. And I think up until 1972, 73, and our guests will fill in these gaps shortly, they had the right to come to this country.
Yeah.
They had the right.
Yes.
So to hear the horrors of some of those stories, is quite disheartening. And again, I know I say it every week, it goes back to the crown, to the monarch, because the monarch is who sets the tone. It was always up to the monarch to emphasize members of the Commonwealth, had a right in those days to come to Britain, okay, and they should be treated with respect. The monarch said that at least once every year from the moment the government decided to seek labour from the Commonwealth. I believe Britain would be a very different place today. They required genuine leadership. I'm not criticising the monarch. I'm simply pointing out leadership required that the tone of the country set by the words uttered by the leaders. No company leader, no leader would allow a new entrant into a company, an organisation, to be treated as our parents were treated. Okay. So it was surely a lack of leadership or lack of consciousness, the damage it was doing to Britain. Because some of the stories my parents would have told you are really quite disgusting. Quite disgusting. And so I'm going to hopefully soon introduce the guest. But before I begin, I want to just play a clip, Lady Chelsea, as we've not had any callers in response to Malachi's question.
Oh, yes.
Okay. But anyway, we'll keep it up. We'll think about further strategies. I want to play a clip, which is really a summary of the experience of our parents' generation. Okay. I think it just gives you a flavour of what was. Here we go.
2018 marks 70 years since HMT Empire Windrush docked in the Essex town of Tilbury, carrying 492 Caribbean passengers. Encouraged by a newspaper advertisement offering cheap transport, hundreds of Jamaicans made the trip to the country they had fought for in the Second World War in the hope of finding work. The UK faced a labour shortage following the devastation wrought by the war, and the passing of the British Nationality Act in 1948 gave Caribbean and other Commonwealth peoples British citizenship and full rights of entry and settlement. The images of West Indians disembarking the Windrush have come to symbolise the beginning of British multiculturalism, with those who arrived in the UK in the late 1940s often referred to as the Windrush generation. This wave of newcomers faced social and economic exclusion upon arrival and were regularly denied private employment and accommodation on the basis of race. Over the following years, the Caribbean community often faced racial prejudice and violence, and during the 1960s and 1970s, the government passed new legislation to impose stricter immigration controls. The 1971 Immigration Act restricted primary immigration to the UK, but allowed Commonwealth citizens already in the country indefinite leave to remain. However, the Home Office did not issue paperwork confirming the status of those who arrived before 1971, leaving a number of the Windrush generation in 2018 facing the prospect of deportation from the country they have called home for decades.
The President of the United States.
Wow. Profound, huh?
Yeah, yeah.
Profound, yeah? And I think it's at that point we've got to consider the implications of successive British governments. You know?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I can't say just one party's fault, unfortunately. Okay.
Yeah, no, yeah.
It's actually both parties' fault.
Mm.
Why we are having discussions about the Windrush generation and the behaviour of the Home Office,
yeah,
which became truly, well, if I may say, abhorrent when the Prime Minister announced, then Prime Minister, I don't need to call her name,
yes,
that she was instituting the hostile environment to satisfy a section within her party who felt hostile to non-British people as they perceived them.
mm-hmm.
Not recognizing the contribution people from overseas were making to this country,
Yeah.
positive contribution these
Yeah.
people were making, but just to see them as being different and therefore could
Yeah.
be picked upon.
Yeah, a very dehumanizing action.
Wow, quite profound, isn't it? Quite
Mhm.
profound. Okay. Now, I know we'll be joined by our guests shortly,
Yeah.
but it will be very, very interesting to hear from our guests about the various Windrush campaigns that are right across the UK and their efforts to address this most profound issue. Okay. I say it's profound because, of course, many of those so-called Windrush generation, and remember, this goes back from the 40s right through to the 70s, okay. Yep. Are now elderly. Yep, now elderly. Okay.
Yes, yeah, definitely.
And in some cases, their lives have been devastated by the actions of the Home Office. Forgive me, by the government's policy changes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And the treatment, I say, is abhorrent. Okay, but I'm pleased, of course. I have to give recognition. I'm pleased that there have been messages from government that made it clear that those of the Windrush generations who came to this country legally, okay, because very few people from the Caribbean arrived there illegally. I have to say, very, 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 very few. We had no reason to, because we had
exactly.
a right of entry.
Told to come. Yeah.
Legally, were British. She made it clear. Yeah, and I'm pleased that both the current and previous prime ministers have publicly apologised. Yeah.
Oh, did they?
Yeah, they publicly apologised.
Okay.
And I note that the current and the previous Home Secretaries have also apologised and have promised to put in place measures to address the injustices caused by the Home Office and the change of government policies, etc. So I want to recognise that, okay? Because it's easy to keep knocking, and it can be that easy enough. But I want to recognise the government's effort to address the issue. Question of pace is the biggie, pace of change, okay? But that's where our guests will come in. And I'm just wondering if we've got at least one of our guests present at the moment. Can I see Glenda? Are you there, Glenda? Is Glenda there? Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
Ah, good morning.
Good morning.
How are you, Glenda? Huh?
Oh, I'm good. I'm good.
Very well. I may say, oh my gosh.
It is a bit
I don't
early.
look anywhere as you.
I thought I better get up and do something. I know it was early. You didn't see me before.
Oh, don't you worry. No matter.
What time is it?
Hey, very much alive. Glenda, pleasure to have you here. I know for Julia and Anthony as well, I believe.
Yes.
Okay. I expect them to arrive soon. It's about time. Okay. So first of all, I would give recognition to Glenda, because I know Glenda through a really good mutual, well, to me, a brethren of the highest order, Glenroy Watson.
Yes.
Yeah.
Who's secretary of the Global African Congress.
Okay.
He alerted me to a meeting that had been held in Preston, which he used the term, this is reparation in action. I said, what do you mean reparation?
That's an honor.
You know, and he said, no. You need to go along, Martin. And of course, we're during lockdown, so it's online. And I have to say, Glenda, don't mind me saying this, in fact, I'm saying right to your face. You were for some time one of the most impressive persons I'd ever met in my life. I have to say to you, I was so impressed by you. The numbers of people you had there, it was absolutely certain that you were more than just trustworthy, you were passionate. Yeah, I want to communicate this to you. You were, for me, one of the most impressive persons I had met. And of course, I had no choice. Every week I was able to go along, despite all my other distractions, you know. I just want to say, bless you. Because for the people like yourself, I know we've made tremendous progress in regards to what has happened to our parents and indeed some of our own peer groups in relation to the Windrush scandal and the taking away of someone's nationality, the right for their own abode. Can you imagine that someone who's been here for decades suddenly find that they're almost stateless? Can you imagine, Glenda? Yeah? Oh, have we lost you, Glenda? Oh, you've gone silent there. Oh, Glenda, she's gone to start. She'll come back in a second. She'll come back in a moment. You know. But as I said, it was one of the most impressive meetings I had attended, and I most certainly hope that that the meetings continue in Preston on that weekly basis, and hopefully she's gone off. She'll come back in a second, and I hope that it continues. I'm expecting Julia and Anthony, who are the other three stalwarts in this, and let's see if we can get them online now. And what's your impression, Lady Chelsea, of the Windrush generation? What is your impression of them?
As actual generation,
pioneers, as it were. You know?
Yeah, I mean, it's only really a thought I think I've really proper deeped in the last 2 years. I think just being here and born, because my grandparents that came, not my parents, so it's a little separation from it. But I think in the last couple of years, I felt really, or I've seen what they've done, because of just the ages that they came, it was their early 20s, younger than me, having children and coming here to work and to do better for themselves. And I think there was a realization just they actually came here for my mum and my generation and beyond to do better and do well. And I think I really kind of started to appreciate and actually see what they did. Because I think when I was younger, it's not that I thought I'm proper English, but just this is all I've kind of known. And although I know I'm very proud of my Jamaican heritage, it's something that actually seeing what they've done was completely different. I think I had to grow up and kind of see like I don't think I'd be able to move countries now and raise a family. I'm not there. So the fact that they did it is like, I really like, appreciate it.
Yes. Oh, okay. Glenda, you're there now, yeah? Glenda, can you hear us?
Yes, I can. My apologies.
Don't worry.
That's okay.
My laptop needed recharging. It just went, battery went.
Oh, I see. Oh, I've drawn too much energy out of it, huh? You energy this time.
There you go. Wow. Yeah, I'm back.
Okay, wonderful. And you might just want to check with Julia and Anthony, because we want to start your interviews quite soon, and there's a lot to be said today. You've made tremendous progress over the 2 to 3 years that campaign's really gone underway, and I'm truly impressed by the way in which you've been able to engage government officials, the Home Office, to hold them accountable for the performance of those departments. Okay. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to hand you over to Lady Chelsea, who is my co-presenter. She provides that balance between male and female, old and young.
Young and the elders.
There you go.
Good morning, Lady Chelsea.
Good morning. How are you?
From lady to lady. I'm Lady G normally.
Lady
Lady G to Lady Chelsea. Good morning. It's a
good
pleasure
morning.
to see you again.
You too. How are you this morning?
I'm good. For 8 o'clock in the morning. Well, 9 o'clock now.
Right. I'm still getting used to it myself. Don't worry.
Before we take over.
Yeah. So the first kind of question, I just wanted to know, just because I haven't spoken to you before, and I think the listeners would just have a little explanation. So why was the local Windrush campaigns or company groups, were they set up in like for you? Why were you part of it? Why is it set up?
Wow.
Sorry, big question. Sorry.
Well, to be honest, I think, like many people, for me, I didn't think it meant anything for me. And it was only because the experience, I helped my mum with her paperwork, and I helped Sakina, who's our founder, because she was found at 34 when she was told that she wasn't British, and I thought it was wrong. So Sakina set up Preston Windrush Generation and Descendants UK, and we felt it was very, very important to highlight that this was impacting not just on our parents and our peers, but this was going to be affecting the next generation and the generations to come. So if we don't do it, who's going to do it? And we cannot leave it with the government. Don't get me started. Cannot leave it with the government. They cannot deal with this. We have to deal with it. Us, the generation, the next generation, and the generation to come. Okay. Does that answer the question?
Yeah, no, definitely. So like came from your own experience.
And I think it's something inherent in us. And I think that's what some people don't understand. I think it's, when I didn't understand about ancestors before.
Yeah.
But it's just, Windrush for me is spiritual.
Okay.
It's deep, it's moving, it's wide, it's like the boat, but it's moving. We don't want it to sink. We want it to keep moving, and it's got to do what it's got to do. But we may not have all the answers right now. It's through our experiences and listening to everybody else's experience that we can learn and grow from this.
Yeah. No, I agree. It was a good answer. Did you have a question, or do you want me to carry on?
Linda's question so well, I don't need to add.
She answered a couple questions.
Right. What she said is that it's a spiritual mission. She ends up by saying it's a spiritual mission. This is not right, and we must do something about it. We've got to do something about this. And we are not powerless, is what she's saying. We have the power to define, to make those changes. We are our own change makers. Yeah?
Oh, so true.
Believe we can do, we can definitely do. Yeah.
Just trust. You've just got to trust in that which is in you. And if you don't know what it is, it will show its face. It will show its face. This is a beautiful experience. I didn't think that, I didn't, like many people, I didn't think it had anything to do with me, but trust me, there's a greater power moving this. Besides Anthony Brown and Julia and yourselves, you know, there's so many people, great power, and we got to step up in our power, you know.
Yeah.
I could talk all day, so stop.
Yeah, no, it's fine. Yeah.
You can stop me when you get me started. It's so early in the morning.
Yeah, I get you. It's a important discussion. For me personally,
can I just add there, Lady
yes, you can. Yes.
You notice how Glenda described it. You see why Glenroy said this is reparations. It starts with self. And that's beginning with self means you've got to have the belief the difference. You know, the whole point of the propaganda that we're exposed to continuously is that to suggest that we are powerless, you know, that we are victims, you know, we are supine. And you notice I'm going down and down in my chair. That's you know, it's a mirage. Yeah, it's an illusion.
Yeah, definitely.
Propaganda. Without, I don't need to say this to Glenda. She defies the propaganda. Yeah? She is the spirit of our people. Yeah? That's what she represented. So when my first few seconds of encountering her, it was like as if I'd known her all my entire life.
Yeah,
I said,
I see that.
Absolutely right, Glenda. When I was
not all of us get that, but when you meet someone, it's not you just know.
Yeah.
And I believe our ancestors gave us that. You know, this you can't explain it unless you feel it. You know, I was not like this before, but my experience of life brought me to where I am today. Because, you know, so many times you think like, why am I doing this? You know, it wasn't my destiny. And I was saying it to Julia last night, you know, you got to find your purpose in all of this. You know, the government has their purpose, and as individuals, they'll have theirs, and we have ours. So keep talking while I try and find out where Anthony and Julia are.
And of course, it is that there's an old motto that says that light will find light in the dark. And no matter where it is, we'll find it. Like magnets, you know. We'll find each other because we're all attracted to each other, you know. Because it is meant to be. We'll find each other in the maze, find the correct route in that maze, and we'll find each other. And that isn't simply quoting scientific fact. That's simply faith, spiritual faith. Faith, Rastafari. And that's why it's easy to connect with Glenda and our powerful. Awesome.
It's like-minded people.
Listen to the women, you know?
That as well. Yes.
Okay, go on.
If my mum was here, she would have been quoting scripture.
Oh yes. Right, my mother.
You know? It is, and I think that's one of the things that when I first, I've known Sakina for a while. Every little bit was like a jigsaw puzzle. It's still not finished. You know, you think like there's a sense of, oh my gosh, why are we doing this? I remember when we first went to Westminster, sitting there and I'm going, why are we here? And I said to Sakina, put your hand up. You need to ask a question. She went, I'm scared. You know, there was David Lammy there and so many of these big figures. and we're little people coming. Well, that's how
You're
I
not
thought.
Little.
No, I know now. I know now.
Hey, let me just tell you
We were coming. We from the north, coming all the way to London, and that was our. And we're going like, so why is it not in Preston, Blackpool, all these places? And it was, and that's all that we could see. But again, what I'm trying to say is, we didn't know our part in it. Like you've got a part in it. Lady Chelsea has got a part in it. We all have a part in it, whether or not we fit in or not. We all have a part. Everybody has a part to play.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you, Lady Chelsea.
Yeah. I think for me on social media, I've kind of tried to kind of keep up with what the Home Office are doing or are not doing. I just want to know, do you believe, if you believe the Home Office are listening to you now and what we want, and is there any change you think?
Which answer do you want? What answer?
The one you feel most comfortable.
All right, I'm going to be honest. Look, some people in the Home Office are doing what they can to right the wrongs by what they've been given to right the wrongs. They've got their own agenda.
Yeah.
I didn't understand. You know when you say playing games, like there's a game going on. You know, they play their part, we play, or whoever plays their part. I think there are some people in there that genuinely really want to assist people. And I also think that they've got their policies and protocols and things to deal with that, but it's not helping. It's not helping. And you can't, two wrongs don't make it right. You know what I mean? This is, a gentleman said to me that I helped fill his application just to check, rectify his status, although he's British. And it's only a few weeks ago he got naturalization. That's over a year. Regardless of COVID, it shouldn't take that long with ours. So I don't think, with all good intentions, it's not happening. I think they can do the best they can with what they've got, but they can't. They can't do it. No, they're not. And the more that we, as whether you want to call it, we're in a relationship with them. You know, like having, you know, we make a suggestion or someone makes a suggestion to them, even if they put it and have put it in place. It's not the same. People are not consciously not going to go there because you've abused us. You have created the harm. How can I go there if they've harmed me? Because something inherent in me is telling me it's wrong. Well, it's not wrong. It's not right. You don't go constantly to the person who's creating harm to you and doesn't make you feel good. It doesn't make you feel good. So, no, it needs to be. I wish they would recognize that we have to deal with it. And the good thing that's happened in the last 2 years is it's been able to allow those organizations and groups to galvanize and come together to deal with it. I don't even think that we should wait for them to give it to us. I think we should just take it. And I think that's why we're going.
I like that. Don't worry, I like that. We should take
We don't. Why are we waiting for them to give it to us?
Oh, yeah. I see we've got Julia here. I see we've got Julia.
Oh, okay.
Good morning, Julia. I know, don't worry. Don't need to explain, don't worry. Just pleased you're here. Okay, just pleased you're here. And you're looking wonderful. Don't you worry. You look wonderful. Okay, don't say anything else. You just accept a compliment, if I may. All right. Thank you. Okay. first of all, welcome to you. Welcome to you.
Good morning.
You know me, of course. I'm the motivator, and I'm with my colleague here. I say colleague, the younger and better side of me. There was a side of me, Lady Chelsea. Jodie, you can introduce yourself to. There you are.
Good morning.
Good morning, Chelsea, and good morning, Martin, and good morning, my beautiful Glenda, this morning. And there are more guests on here this morning. I can see some names, so good morning, and I humbly apologise for my late arrival.
Don't you worry.
It's fine. Don't worry.
All good.
I got here early.
Yes, I won't have time to arrive, but I was very impressed. Truly African time.
Mr. Motivator, the spirit walked me. The spirit walked me.
You're already eager.
That's what I want to hear.
I was asleep.
Yeah, that's what I want to hear. The spirit worker.
The spirit walked me this morning.
That is so good.
Sounds like a song. And I love that song. That song that you play every time.
Yeah.
I don't know who sings it. But I would love that. I would love a copy of that.
I can arrange that because the in fact I won't go into it right now, but I'll definitely, there's a story behind it, but I won't go into it right now. I'm just conscious of time because it's 9:10.
Yeah.
And if I may, Glenda, I'm just going to go back to Lady Chelsea, and Lady Chelsea may want to ask the opening question of Glenda, and then we can get to know Glenda better. And Glenda, good to see you. Really, it's good to see you.
Thank you. Good to see you.
Julia.
Julia, I was going to say Julia.
Oh, Julia. Okay.
No, I meant to say Julia. Oh, gosh, Julia, it's good to see you. Really good to see you. Oh my gosh. Lady Chelsea.
Yeah. No, hi Julia. It's nice to meet you. So the opening question was, why set up the local Windrush company groups? Why are you a part of it? Why is it important to you?
Oh my days, Chelsea, what a fantastic question. It's important because we have been discriminated against for the longest time, and we've endured a lot of atrocities. Yes, we live in an age where we are not receiving the lash and we are not picking cotton, but for me, although we can no longer see those elements, we are still being subjected to some horrible hostilities that we find ourselves in. We were discriminated by work, by employment, we're discriminated by the jobs we have to take to put food on the table. It doesn't matter if you're qualified, you've got a degree, you've got your master's. Sometimes you don't get into the positions in life where you need to be until you're at an incredible age, never mind being in those positions when you're 20 and 30, so that you're more professional in your delivery and what you do. You may not be offered those positions until you're maybe in your late 40s going into your early 50s. And it's not being reflected properly. It's not being captured, and it's not being evidenced that that is the situation. But why Windrush? Well, and why did I join part of being involved with a grassroots organisation? It's because for me, my brother was subjected to a horrible event and still going through that process in his life. And my brother is a very humble man, never been involved in any political or police scenarios. He has got a great heart, and now a poorly heart because of it. And they are subjected, the hostilities that he's faced of saying that he was an illegal immigrant when he wasn't, robbed him of his life, his health, his home, his car, and he was even subjected to, my goodness, you just made me well up. They subjected him to his own children, to say he's he the father of the children. Why? Because he is black and his partner is white.
Okay.
And to the point of where, when you're in that kind of environment, you're questioning yourself, about your masculinity, your parental role, as a provider, as a man. And it just robs you of everything that is decent and whole and right. And the fact that he's so poorly now, I can't forgive them for this. But, I've heard many a story, and I, innocently, I thought, no, this can't be right. But it is right. And since I've been involved with my colleague Glenda, my other colleague Anthony Brown, I've realised just how severe this situation is. And I've always dealt, as an ex-civil servant, I dealt with a lot of complicated issues, from young offenders, substance users, battered wives, domestic issues, right up to a street light not working in the street. It's so raft, it's unreal, vast, sorry. But when you realise that this is very personal and it's very deep, and all the things that I experienced about having a dual nationality and finding that I wasn't readily accepted into what this so-called real world was. It isn't real. I found that I've had to straighten my hair. I found that I have had to speak a certain way. And when we want to talk like that, I can't talk like that. You know what? Those things that robs you of your culture and your identity just to satisfy an organization and just to satisfy and being able to be a provider into your home. These are the things that I'm no longer wanting and going to accept. And these are the things, and this is the pivotal reason why I get involved with people the way I do. And sometimes it's not, we're not looking for thanks. And let me assure you, we get nothing. We do this because we feel passionately about what we're doing to support people, to give people where they can't be the voice, we do it on their behalf. And the thing is, the Home Office don't build up these kind of relationships with our clients. That trust isn't there. When you have somebody speaking to you over the phone and they tell you just how desperate things have become, that they can't even afford to put the heating on, or that they can't afford to have something to eat because there is no provisions there, because every piece of legislation or documentation that would provide them to be in a job has been taken away, until the Home Office makes a decision of whether they are legal or illegal. But I'm here to tell you, anybody of the Windrush generation was here legally. They are not immigrants. And when it comes down to the children, and because this is what we're talking about, the descendants of the generation, you will find that they have been subjected to a whole world of hostility. And what I mean by that is some children came with their parents as minors, and they were not expected to have a passport. They travelled with their mum and their guardians who they were with. And now these people are being scrutinised. They're being ostracised from employment, from the status quo. And this government has taken money hand over fist. Let's not forget this, by taxes, by their subscriptions that they've paid. And then after 50, 60 years of employment, 70 years of employment in some cases, the audacity of this organization is saying, you're not welcomed. What are they talking about? So Windrush for me is very vast, and it's not the here and the now, it's the descendants and the descendants after, because we go on to have our families, and it's not until a child wants to go on a trip where it involves a passport, they're saying, who are you? Or they're saying, if you've had an incident, however minor, you go into a police station, they're saying, oh, I mean, look what they did with the celloist the other day, Henneke Mason. Look what they did with him, a famous celloist player. But because the provenance of being given a royal approval, he's been afforded the luxury of the Home Office saying it's a blunder. So what about my applicants who are waiting to have that same word said to them, we're sorry, it's our blunder?
Yeah.
You know, people have lost their lives. Paulette Wilson, Mr. Brighton, and he didn't, you know, incidentally, he wasn't from Brighton. Lots of people have died trying to clear their names. Lots of families have gone, we shouldn't be in this situation. We lost our father at 76. We lost our mother. And without these additional anxieties that they find themselves being placed upon them, they should be living in the here and now.
Yeah.
Where is the apology for them? Where is the apology for the people who came here long before 1948? And didn't enough of us die in the Second World War? And did enough of us not die in the First World War? And after that, are we still not dying? I think the Home Office and this government has a lot to answer for. I call Priti Patel T-foul, because everything she does, nothing sticks. If you and I do something and we find ourselves in a position, they're not telling us that's it, you can move on, it was a mistake. You're held until they determine if it is appropriate or if they deem that we are supposed to be released. We know people who have been in Yarlswood Detention Centre, a very dear friend, and she will hopefully be with us on the 23rd. This is a grown lady. And then they subjected her. I mean, the worst indictment that I could share with you and your audience, Mr. Motivator, is she was also detained in an awful detention centre. They did something very similar to her son. They deported her son to Jamaica. And within 6 weeks of him being in Jamaica, he died.
Oh my gosh.
You know, we can no longer sit here as being token gestures. We have to be the voices. We have to stand up and represent. You know, we listen on Free Talk to people. They can't even look in the camera. Their heads are down. Their shoulders are down. They cough. Because it brings up and it encapsulates so much trauma for them.
Can I ask you to pause a moment there, Julia, because what you're reciting are those first-hand accounts of the effects of government policies. And I've always said it starts from the top, from the monarch downwards, you know. It's the effect of government policies. I said earlier on before you arrived, my parents arrived in the 50s. I was a baby, of course, okay? But when I was born, Jamaica was a British colony. You know, forgive me, I was born British. You know, can you imagine? Yeah. Gosh, I know that Lady Chel's got another question for you. I did want to follow through. I wanted around 20 minutes and open up the phone line. We're running behind now, so I'm just conscious. I know there are.
Did you want to do that now?
Judging by my messages, I want to talk to you both. You know, so it's, Lady Chelsea, go ahead.
Yeah. Did you want to give the number now, or do you want me to?
Yes. Go ahead with your question.
Yeah. The question. Okay, cool. This is to either one of you. Would you be able to describe the compensation scheme and how should it work?
Well, the compensation scheme is the biggest joke ever. I think the compensation scheme, and I like to call it the reimbursement scheme. It's not a compensation scheme. And I think that has been created just to keep the staff in the Home Office in their seats. Yes, there are cases that have been approved and they've received their reimbursements. But since that mechanism, it first started off as something pittance. Good morning, darling. Thank you. Thank you. My grandson's just bringing me a coffee. Thank you very much. And the compensation was designed that once they found out what your application process was, they would look at putting you in different tiers. So there's impact on life assessment, medical, a chain of events that you can go through to justify where they position you. But the ludicrousy of this compensation tier, if you will, was never fit for purpose. It wasn't right. And what they found themselves doing, so say for instance, you're a successful applicant, you've gone through the laborious process, you may have been awarded in the first instance anything up to £10,000, and that was the initial thinking behind that plan. Well, now, because of the volume of work that organisations such as Preston Free Talk, WDeagle, Legal, myself, and WINO, which is Windrush National Organisation, and various other organisations out there, and through the talks that we've had and the invited talks that we've had with that department, I'll never forget this. It was December last year that Priti Patel thought that she was making an announcement to the world by saying that she's increasing the minimum payment up to £10,000 in the first instance. And that was just by merely going through the process whilst they determined what the actual reimbursement would be. In that way, it would safeguard some of the people who were going through the process because of the incurred debts that they inherited, or because of the situation that they found themselves in. And it was something to enable to support the families to continue whilst their claims were being dealt with. So to me, that award wasn't right, because what they found themselves to be doing, in order for you to get the £10,000 in the first instance, they made the paperwork incredibly difficult. And there was repeated questions, and there was, is that all the information you've got? So even though Priti Patel came out all singing and dancing to make everybody believe that the Home Office was acting appropriately, they did the total opposite. They were acting inappropriately. And then, in order for them to be awarded that reimbursement, they were also saying and knowing that the Home Office had already had people's details, banking account details, etc., they decided to tell them that we still need to check the process, that the details that you've given us and the information you've provided was accurate. It begs belief. So it wasn't fit for purpose. And now you can be awarded up to 6 figures from the reimbursement, but that really does take a very serious level to be determined if you are eligible for it. So in what I would like to say is, for the people who have passed over into the next life, who've tried to get that level, are they eligible then for that 6-figure amount? Because the impacts of life still has an impact on the living family, does it not? And they should determine, they should recognize that. And for me, they haven't done what they set out to do, what they've said they're going to do. It's not only about acknowledging status, it's about giving our people their citizenship back. And we are fighting for a Windrush Act, which will reflect that, which will protect our Windrush generation and descendants. And it will marginalise. And I think to let the UK and our supporters really understand why we are doing what we're doing. You know, we're marching for freedom. It's our freedom, and we are the redeemed people. If we were bought and sold in the first instance, we are co-heirs to this kingdom. So we have our natural right to be a part of this kingdom. And if they can't remember that, then I will be there and other people to support us in that on the 23rd, to raise those concerns and be a voice for each and every one. I know it sounds like I'm stood on my soapbox, but if I don't say it and have the opportunity to say this with you and with Mr. Motivator's audience, believe you me, I'm not an angry Black woman. I'm a very caring, compassionate. I empathize with people, and I will try to do my level best, such as my sister Glenda here, such as Glenda Caesar, such as all the people have gone through this. And that is why I'm proud to say Mr. Motivator will be here. You know, King Martin will be here. Queen Chelsea, I'm hoping you will be there, because we're all kings and queens. And this is our rightful place. Absolutely. And how dare they call us illegal immigrants?
Absolutely.
Yeah. No,
you.
Everything you say is really important.
And I have to say, I know there's not much time. Big up to your grandson behind you, because he was like that to you before. Yeah, go on. Wow. Grandson Davidson.
I've got to say, listening to you, Julia, as I said earlier on, this is why I keep coming back again and again and again to the online gathering of yours. I've got to tell you, it is always inspiring. If I can quiz you there a bit on what I saw the last meeting, it appeared to me that the Home Office have moved. The last meeting, they had quite a number of their senior officers present, okay, and they were responding in a meaningful way to the questions. Okay, they weren't evading them; they were actually responding to them. And I suppose it's mainly from my perspective, but I've not been at many of these meetings, but they appear, well, most certainly from the early days, which were really hostile meetings, okay, to what I saw this week, which appeared to be and I may use the term, a constructive engagement. They appear to be engaging, and notwithstanding what you've said, they appear to be listening. Okay, so the idea of a Windrush Act, okay, I suspect will be, if not the officials, the politicians will be receptive to it. But I suppose my real question, based upon what I saw the last meeting, do you feel that your working relationship with Home Office officers has improved? And increasingly, are they listening and responding positively to your suggestions to improve the process, to make it easier? Because at first glance, it appears to be so, but you tell me if my observations are not quite as they seem.
Is this with the engagement meeting that was on Thursday?
Yes.
Okay. Yes. But again, like I said to you before, they've got their agenda, we've got ours. The one thing they asked, what is it that you want? What do you think the Home Office can do to make things better for people? Do you know what they need to do? They need to recognize all the people that is supporting the people that have been impacted.
I like this flag. Can I get
yes.
Flags, Julia?
I've never seen that before.
What the Home Office needs to do is not just listen, not just engage. They need to build a relationship. You can't then listen, take the ideas, and then go and implement them as if it was your idea, when it was the community organisations who gave you the ideas in the first place. £10,000 was sort of like a gesture. I think it was Patrick Vernon who first asked them to do that. It wasn't Priti Patel's idea. It was came from the community. Patrick Vernon, his campaigns, even our communities are not listening. They're not listening because it doesn't impact them. They're scared, don't want to lose their job, scared that they may get deported, scared that they might not get the treatment, scared that their children may be impacted by this. But you've got to experience it, because I'm telling you this now, it will come and bite people on the backside. Yeah. COVID at the moment. Do you know how many people don't want to go to hospital because they're scared, because they think, oh my God, I'm black, they might kill me in there. I don't even want to go there. Do you know what I mean? So I think they're listening. They are listening, but they are not understanding. They need the community. They need the community. They need the organizations for them to rectify, but they can't rectify it. It's just ludicrous. You, the perpetrator, you who committed the crime, can't solve it. You've got to let us solve it. You want to help? Help. But you cannot solve it. It needs to come away, because do you know what it looks like? We're the ones that's putting a plaster on it. Claim compensation. It's not about the compensation. It's about your identity and your right to be a human being and be, if you're here in Britain, British. If you're in Italy, Italian. It's your right to be a human being. You, the government, give us the label, but we know inherently, in a spiritual sense, I am more than just Glenda, British, black, whatever. I'm more than that. And you can't take that away. And the government needs to know you're fighting a bigger spirit. And if you don't believe in God, you'll realize when you have to make your maker.
Yes. And before I go back to Lady Chelsea, because I mean, we're very much in the solutions mode, very much in the solutions. So, and I acknowledge that, and I've, in my other hat, I've met people who are directly affected by Windrush, but are not doing anything about it. Okay? And you're right, it is fear because they don't trust these officials. Okay? And you're right, to have created a hostile environment, we cannot then suddenly change the spot overnight. You know? It's a question of trust. What's your suggestion then? I'll put it to both of you. I'm sorry, Auntie's not here, but put it to both of you. What should the government do? Should they, for example, I thought about this, set up a separate agency led by a member of our community, mainly staffed by members of our community, with the responsibility specifically to address claims of this nature? Would that be a solution, do you think?
No, do you want me to tell you what to do?
Okay.
It's simple. It's so simple. Let the organizations that have been doing it run it. You give them. You don't make them apply. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Do you know? You give them. You say, do you know what? I've seen the lawyers. Give them. Let them have the legal aid to help the people. You know, they need advocates. Let's give it to them. It's not. We should ask. If you know, when you feel something, and you know with love that it's right, you don't ask.
That's right.
It's given.
Understood. Understood. And if
the other thing that you need to remember, Mr. Motivator and the audience, sorry, Glenda, but one of the things that you need to remember here is the 2014 Immigration Act has disproportionately had a negative effect on the Windrush, okay? And all of those who came to Britain from the Commonwealth countries before 1973 are lawfully British.
Yes.
So this nonsense that they are decreeing, why are they making law that they're not following? And I wish, you know, a Supreme Court would address that.
Yeah.
You know, because that is the overriding fact. This is not us saying it. This is law. This is legislation that they put in. And now, because they are who they are unpicking that law to cherry pick who they feel should be lawful. You can't do that. And I don't know why, however many politicians and MPs that are in Parliament who have agreed to that piece of legislation is not acting on that legislation. You know, for me,
very good point. Yeah, you're absolutely right. I came here as a British person for all intents and purposes, but for many years I didn't have any papers. Crazy, absolutely crazy. I'm just conscious of time. Oh gosh, I could talk to you guys all morning.
Yeah.
I've just got to. I know that Lady Child's got a last question, and then I should open up.
If you want to give up the number now, and then I'll do the question. Maybe. You want to do the question?
Yeah,
because
that question will allow us then to deal with the issue from how can people contact them. But go ahead.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. Yes, the last question was, can Ulster people who have been involved in the Windrush scandal get involved with the community groups that you guys are involved in, or should they go to Home Office straight away?
Right, Chelsea, great question yet again, and thank you for asking the panel. For me, it's all about getting in contact with an organisation, whether it be grassroots or the Home Office. And if they are going to say for whatever reasons, their decision is to go with the Home Office first, then they need to have a representative from
the organisation
as an advocate, an organisation, so that we can handhold every step that they go through on that journey to ensure that they are being properly supported, that we can ensure that whoever is accessing that support is being properly supported. It's not a case of going into that environment, giving your name, giving your details and thinking that's it. We are here to enable that process to be as easy or as unstressful as we possibly can. Because can you imagine, Chelsea, obviously I can see you're a young woman, probably on the first flush of life, about to begin your life, okay? And if I was to say to you, have you got paperwork from 20 years ago? You'd probably scratch your head and go, Auntie Julia, I dare say I haven't, okay? Can you imagine saying that to people who are of a certain age? And then every receipt that they've ever dealt with, that the Home Office are asking you for proof of that? How can you justify that kind of question? And the reason why I'm answering it this way, I was in a meeting on Glenda's Free Talk, and there were several members from the Home Office, and this employee from the Home Office said, well, whatever the legislation was then, it was on Winnow's meeting. And he said, whatever the legislation was then, you can't expect us to. And I thought, I've got you. You said it. And I said, how dare you? You need to be empathic towards these applicants. You need to show a level of respect, and you need to deal with people in a sensitive manner. And in the end, he said, oh, yes, you're right. You're quite right. I'm sorry, my tone was derogatory. I'm sorry that, and you're quite right to remind us to pull us up but I was sat in a Zoom meeting. Can you imagine if that same attitude was delivered to the person going through this already difficult process, how they would have felt? I had to do it. I found myself effervescent coming from my feet upwards. But by the time it got to here, I just held it together. And it was very easy for me to have gone the total opposite way and run him. But I didn't want to do that because I wanted him to see that he was not speaking and delivering with an element of compassion. We know they're there to do a job, but so are we. And every time that we find that a situation arises out of a bad situation, we've got to do something about it. We have to address these people, and we have to hold them to account. And that is why it's imperative. People do have to come forward. The criteria that everybody's being expected to be in now, from a baby to the grave, you have to have your papers, you have to be registered, because I don't want you, Chelsea, to go down the line 6 years from now doing something that is going to take legitimate legislation, should we say, and then somebody dissolves your next part of your life by saying you are not legal. Can you imagine those words? Your name is Chelsea whatever. My name is Julia Davidson. I've been carrying this name for over, 30 odd years since I was married, and then my maiden name, okay? For somebody, I have dealt with every paperwork from birth certificate to national NI contributions, to taxes, to insurances, life insurances. There is everything about me. For somebody to say you are not who you are, can you imagine that? Just think about that for a moment. You've had your children, you've had your wife, your partner, you're building a life. You've put roots down, foundations down, and we are of a generation. They're telling our previous generation that they're lazy bastards. Excuse me and apologize for swearing on your, godly program. But these are some of the titles that we've been hearing, that they're lazy, that they're dole sponges. Let me tell you, the generation before ours have never been on the dole. The dole never even existed.
Exactly.
There was no Department of Works and Pensions. How dare they? And if that doesn't fire you up, then I will be the woman, and so will Sister Glenda, to be the woman to make you realize you are a whole person. You have an identity.
So I did want to make sure before I open the phone line how people can contact the organisation, the national organisation, your local, and if you've got either an email address or telephone numbers, so that those who are affected by Windrush can make contact. You might want to just give your website address, email or telephone numbers, just so that those who are listening, who are concerned and are seeking advice, can contact yourselves or an organisation.
Okay, I'll kick that one off. Info Peterborough Windrush at gmail.com. My mobile number.
Lady Chelsea's writing it down, so she's. Did you get that, Lady Chelsea?
I think so. Yeah.
If not, I can send it to you. It's not a problem, but I will say it for the purpose of the listeners. It's info Peterborough Windrush at gmail.com.
Yeah.
Mobile number 077 065 90276.
Brilliant. And Glenda, I believe you might have an email address that if those who are listening want to contact you.
For those who, especially if you don't use internet, you can contact me on 07 564 732 983. That's the Preston Windrush Generation and Descendants telephone number. Even if you text, if you can text, you can WhatsApp, Instagram us, and our website. If you have had dealings with, whether it's a lawyer, regardless what it is, some people might have issues with housing, with just need someone to speak to, might feel down sometimes, and you still don't know why. You might not even think it's to do with Windrush. There's a questionnaire on our website, which is www.prestonwindrush.co.uk. And what I would say to anyone, pick up the phone, give us a call. You don't have to go to the Home Office. Let's get rid of that. You don't have to go to the Home Office. Come to someone who knows how to deal with this, because the Home Office is not who you should be dealing with. It should be people who've experienced it, people who can assist you, because we don't know how many people have been dealt with, but we know how many people are contacting us every single day.
Every single day.
Every single day. And you are not, I've got to say this, you're not alone.
When people
you're not alone. You may feel you're alone. Sorry, Julia. You may feel like you're alone. And this is the thing that we're trying to, I hope that we can be public again, but I also know that this was an opportunity and a platform, like free talk or online. But there's a lot of people out there who haven't got mobile phones, but they may have a relative or a friend that is listening. So again, just contact, and even contact your Mr. Motivator, you know, and young people. Yeah, if you don't know about your parents' status, you need to ask them. You know, ask the young people. You've got to ask your parents, your grandparents. And that's the other thing, Mr. Motivator. What happens when those people who have status pass? Does it go with them?
Okay.
What happens?
Yes, interesting.
What happens when they've gone? Because us, the next generation, haven't got no piece of paper.
Right.
Because remember, that passport can be taken away from you. Your passport is not your status. And people need to realize that your passport is not your status. It is your document to travel.
And that's imperative. Please do not lose sight of that.
Sorry, Julia, but before I do want to give out, I might be able to take one call. This has been ferocious in its content here today. So I'll give out the number. So it's those who wish to interact with our guest, 0203 481 5240. You're then asked to enter a PIN number. It's 3707 33 43 97, followed by the hash sign, vertical and horizontal symbol on your keypad. So I know there's some people who are bursting, but I've been holding them back. But you've both been so outstanding, if I may say so.
Yes,
oh my gosh,
yes.
This has been a rich experience. Can I please just take you back to the Home Office and what I observed in terms of that constructive engagement? Because you said that constructive engagement is a result of your work. And I am going to acknowledge that if you've been the perpetrator for generations, you kind of suddenly become a trusted person. I accept that, and you're right. The suggestion you put forward earlier on, Julia and Glenda, that the Windrush National Organisation should become de facto the government agency to handle Windrush cases. Have you put that to the politicians, the Home Secretary and other people? Have you put that suggestion forward to them? I think it's a brilliant suggestion.
It would be lovely if we could sit down with them, wouldn't it? And that's why we're marching on the 23rd. I don't know if you've read the statement from Anthony Brown.
Not yet. Please read it to us if you've got it handy.
Oh, it's 13 pages long.
Oh my gosh.
Look, what I'm going to say to you,
but it's far better than Tony Sewell's report.
Okay, I hear you.
But what I'm going to say to you is get the statement. We were taking this to Parliament on the 23rd for them to read. If they don't get it after this, yeah, they've got to get it. You've got to read this statement. And it's just, you know, people are still suffering from ill health and post-traumatic stress disorder. We all could be part of that at different levels, every single one of us. But I'm going to, and it's so good, everything in it. I'm going to read a bit about, I'll read the last paragraph. The Windrush scandal has not only impacted in the immigration field. The Burning Work Intergenerational Digital Forum, held on the 22nd of June 2020, organised by Channel's research group, looked at the race disparities also in education, in health, in work and criminal justice. This has damaged community cohesion and public trust, which must be repaired through a reparative justice, the Windrush Act, which makes an apology to the Windrush generation, creates a community cohesion fund, and places a legal duty on public bodies and large private organizations to tackle the race disparities for African Caribbean people in the fields of criminal justice, education, health, and work. to protect future generation. And this is my prayer. Floreat Collegium Fervet Opus in Campus. And the reason why I've just wanted to read the last paragraph of that statement from Anthony is Windrush, as I said before, spiritually, deep and wide. It's not just about compensation. It's not about the compensation. It is, and I learned something this morning, it is about what are we going to do with it? What are we going to do? And what are you going to do with it? Your listeners, whether you're experiencing it from that side, whether you work for the government, what are you going to do with what you've been given to do something about?
Absolutely right. Absolutely right.
Give it back to the people.
Yeah, absolutely. This is reparations.
Where can that statement be found?
Yeah, go ahead.
I think it's on WD Legal. I can't remember the website. www.wlegal.com. Yeah. Or if you email myself or Julia, I'm sure we can get you a copy.
Okay.
But I can send that to you as well, Martin.
Brilliant. Brilliant.
This is gold. That statement.
That is, yeah,
encapsulated everything, and it covers every genre, every level, every scenario that we have been facing as a people. More importantly, those victims, those pioneers who have gone through that process, but the victims who are still yet to be reimbursed. Seeing that my sister has kindly given you a paragraph, this is part of my speech on Windrush Day. I'm just going to abbreviate it for you, but you'll get a gist of what I'm going to deliver at Peterborough City Council. The other thing that I want to say to you is this. Everybody should be raising the Windrush standard on your hospitals, on your schools, on your universities, on your businesses, the same way that when you're going abroad and you go to a beautiful hotel, they've got every flag there that's represented. I would like to see a Windrush standard there. The reason being why we come and go, we travel, we invest, and we put our time and efforts into everything in every part of infrastructure. And that should be the very least that we expect back. Okay. It says here, so why are we here and why the need for a Windrush Day? For too long, the impact of the Windrush generation on the social structure and cohesion of our nation has been ignored. No visibility and no voice. What is known is the negative way British citizens with very lawful rights to be here have been treated, unlawfully deported in some cases and never able to return home to England, or even to go and see a dying relative in the Caribbean. Years of paying taxes and then thrown out like trash. The trauma and pain is palpable and it's now multi-general. We are losing stalwarts who have never received a formal apology for their treatment, let alone 1 penny in compensation. Their families carry on the struggle in their honour, supported by the various Windrush groups. I'm trying to keep the politics out of this, but I know you will understand just how difficult that is. Hostile environment remains firmly in place and actions will always speak louder than words. The fight for justice continues and will do so way beyond 2021. And let's make no mistake here, Windrush may look to the outside world looking in that it's just a black people thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's not. It is global. It is international. But why people are concentrating on Windrush is because they're watching to see how it pans out. And that is why we are calling for a judicial review. That is why we want the courts to step up and intervene, because our politicians who write legislation can't even begin to understand their own print that they put on paper. And we are here to challenge that. We are here to say, if you can't be bothered to do it, then let us do it.
To do it, yes.
Yeah. No,
I say to you both, thank you.
Yeah,
I'm
so
going to
much.
put this now, but that's what tends to happen.
And I just wanted to say, you know, my mum got her naturalization.
I've got 1 more minute, so Glenda.
Okay, my mum got her naturalization in 2019. I didn't know what was going on. She got her passport in 2020. She never got to use it.
Oh.
Yeah, because my mum passed on the 4th of May. But I just want to know that people like my mum, I don't want someone else to pass. Yeah, but someone's gonna go every single day, and it's our job left behind to do something about it. They can't do it. Government can't do it. Give it to us. Let's all sort it out, and then we'll come to you and tell you exactly what we want from you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Powerful statement.
Very.
Powerful women.
Yes.
I'm so proud to be amongst
Amazing.
you.
I heard a saying the other day: Windrush daughters, Windrush sons. Yeah. Because you're a Windrush son. And remember, Windrush doesn't just mean the boat.
No.
It's the wind.
Yes, yes.
Which is the spirit.
Yeah, it's a spirit.
And we're all part of that. Every one of us. Black, white, regardless, we're all part of the same thing. And God bless our ancestors and them that have gone before us.
And blessings to you both. Thank you for being outstanding presenters for the cause.
Yes.
I'm confident that many have been affected by your words. I can tell that just listening to the passion, listening to the information, that you've moved the numbers who have been frightened to put their heads above the parapet. They're now stronger. They're now feeling able that, okay, there are people there I can trust. I will take that next step. I'm confident that will now happen. Thank you both. Thank you both. We'll now
Yes, thank you so much.
Thank you both. Thank you both. Good day to you. And you'll see me, I'll be there. You'll see me on Tuesday anyways, Tuesday evening, and on Wednesday on the march.
I can't wait to see you. Hugs from Preston.
With the standard, right? Thank you.
Martin, please wear pink on Wednesday. Do you know why?
Oh no,
I love a man who wears pink.
I'm not sure I could wear it on the street.
It takes a real man to wear pink.
Very bold.
God bless you all.
Thank you.
God bless you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Blessings. Thank
Bye.
you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Lady Chelsea?
Yes.
Outstanding, huh?
Very, yes.
Outstanding. Absolutely outstanding. And with women like such as just as those two, we are going to succeed, you know, and unfortunately,
Definitely.
Anthony, but honestly, that combination of truly formidable. There's no government can get in the way of such people.
Martin, before you close, Martin and Chelsea, before you close, a great man, and please research this to see who said it. A great man said, "For to be free is not merely to cast off one's chains, but to live in a way that respects and enhances the freedom of others." I am mindful to put that in my speech, and I will be delivering it here in Peterborough on Tuesday. And let me tell you, they've capped it down to 10. And I wonder if this again is designed by Boris Johnson to prevent us from doing what we need to do. But I am typical to my birth sign, and I am a warrior empress, and I will be endeavoring to ensure that my speech will be being recognized on behalf of the Windrush family.
Okay, we're out of time
Thank
now.
you so much.
Julia,
Goodbye.
blessings to you. Blessings always.
Blessings.
Good evening.
Thank you. Thank you. Lady Chelsea?
Yeah.
Next week, huh? Wow.
Yeah, till next week. All right, goodbye. Bye.